Now, villagers in Huntingdonshire have delivered a petition signed by almost 2,000 people to try to stop an incinerator being built nearby. The company Envar wants to build the waste energy recovery facility on their existing composting site near Somersham. The application includes a 26-metre high chimney. That's around the height of a 9-storey building. A decision's expected by Cambridgeshire County Council in the next few weeks. Joseph Hall reports.
I'm in the middle of the village of Woodhurst, just near St Ives. It's a really lovely village, probably about 1,500 people population. I'm speaking to locals here, and no one wants to come on the microphone at the moment, but everyone's happy to talk. They don't want to be identified because they don't want to be seen as troublemakers or NIMBYs. They're worried about pollution, whether it's airborne or in the ground. Lady I just spoke to has horses and animals and children. They're also worried about the junction on the Mad Mile, as it's known, as you come into Woodhurst. That was the scene of a minibus accident, a fatality just a couple of years ago that we reported on. They're worried that increased traffic going to an incinerator plant there would make that junction even more dangerous. And they're worried about the chimney, over 20 metres, 26 metres. They're saying, what's that going to do for desirability of this very picturesque village? They think that house prices will certainly only go one way as a result of having such a large chimney. I'll continue now to walk through the village and see if anyone will actually talk. I've just stopped you on a quick walk through the village. What's your opinion on this proposal?
It doesn't affect us really here, or us personally.
So we're stood at probably about 2 miles from the site, it's worth saying, so it wouldn't affect you where you live?
I don't think so. There might be more traffic on the road. Other than that, I don't think there's a problem.
You
seem to be the minority. I've spoken to quite a few who seem upset. Do you understand why your neighbours are upset?
Yeah, I do. I think it will be OK.
I've moved a little bit closer through the village to where the proposed site will be. Hello, I've just knocked on your door. You live probably within a mile or so of the proposed site?
I do, yes.
What are your thoughts?
Not really happy about it. Would like a bit more information than there has been out there. There's a lot of farmland around here, a lot of orchards, and just what this could possibly mean if this gets into the food chain, any of the stuff in the environment from the incinerator.
So it's contamination, that's your main worry?
Absolutely. We get smells at the moment anyway, so don't want anything sort of worse than that. And if the wind's in the wrong direction, you'll get something, but then you want to know what else is going to be put into the environment.
There's an N word here at stake, NIMBYism. Is that the case?
No, not really. Just want a little bit more information, really. Especially when it's the first in the country. Are we being guinea pigs, really?
Yeah, that's a good point. What do you know about this? What have you been told? You say information's been a bit short.
We've only just moved here, so we sort of found out about it through social media. There should be things coming through the door with information.
Was that not part of your conveyancing? Was that not sort of flagged up then?
No, because the site of it wasn't in the conveyancing. We found it out on social media.
OK, so the million-dollar question, would you have bought the house?
We knew it was all going ahead. We thought about dropping out, and we decided we liked the village so much it was worth the risk. May never happen. Plus, from a wind point of view, we weren't that further south, basically, so we could have still been getting something from it. We put in our concerns. For me, my daughter is up the hill, next village along, childbearing age, and what could it do to my grandchildren is my biggest concern, really.
Just about to leave, and I've bumped into a couple of walkers who live in a neighbouring village. Sir, you tell me that you had a similar quandary a while back.
There's another type of incinerator. I really don't know whether it's the same as this one, but it was totally out of proportion for the area, and it was found later that the scientific background to it turned out to be virtually unknown.
Can I ask you what the village is?
Warboys.
Oh, OK, so you're not getting one there, and you're relieved?
We're very relieved, yes, because there's more housing now, and that housing would actually have been very near to the new incinerator if the incinerator had gone first.
Joseph Hall reporting from the Huntingdonshire village of Woodhurst. Councillor Steve Criswell is Huntingdonshire District Councillor for Somersham and also sits on Cambridgeshire County Council. Morning, Steve.
Good morning, Dottie.
So just under 2,000 people have signed a petition against this. Is that a lot?
Actually, it's over 2,700, the petition that was handed to me yesterday. And the planning application has received over 1,000 official objections. So there is a huge groundswell of public opinion against it. I can understand a few people may have been reluctant to speak to Joseph earlier, but as the elected councillor to represent people around here, I certainly have no problems in responding to their concerns and giving whatever support I can.
Yeah, I mean, the site that's there at the moment on that Wheatsheaf junction is a composting site. It's not particularly beautiful. It doesn't always smell delicious. What's the issue with building a waste incinerator there? How much difference can it make?
The reason the petition was presented to me yesterday was because I put a motion to the County Council in support of local residents. And really that was a two-pronged motion. The first was the question around whether incinerators had a future nationally. At the moment, incinerators are in government legislation seen to be more in favour than landfill, which I can understand. But incinerators are now being seen as unnecessary and unwanted across the whole country. Many MPs are now campaigning to have the legislation changed. And I think with modern technology, incinerators are a thing of the past. They come with certain risks. Yes, they need to meet certain guidelines, but the emissions is certainly one of the major concerns locally. And if we can have technology that releases no emissions to damage our air quality, then that's the direction we should be going in.
So what is the alternative? Because all of our rubbish, it has to go somewhere, doesn't it?
It does. Does it have to be burned? I think, Dottie, is the main thing. And all the material that's being burned, this is medical waste that's being burned, it tends to be plastic. And I think single-use plastics are gradually going to become a thing of the past, hopefully.
Even in the medical sector?
Well, I think the one thing we've learnt from this awful pandemic over the last 2 years is that we can't carry on producing the amount of disposable plastics that we have been. And, of course, that's really come to the fore over this last 2 years. And I think sometimes it needs a pandemic to accelerate the technology and the research that goes into how we deal with these things better. So if we can have recyclable or reusable materials that can be sterilised, I think that's a much better way forward. And I would like to bet that within the next year or two, proposals along those lines will be on the table and be ready to be used. And, we could end up with an incinerator being built here, and by the time it's been built and commissioned, we have other technologies that, will deal with the waste.
OK. We've got Lorna Dupré also with us, Steve. Councillor Dupré is from the Lib Dems. She chairs the Environment and Green Investment Committee on Cambridgeshire County Council. Morning, Lorna.
Good morning, Lottie.
So the council agreed yesterday to reject Councillor Criswell's motion against this incinerator. Why was that decision made?
Well, it didn't actually. The motion got passed. That's the first and most important thing to say. The motion was passed. It was passed because Councillor Criswell and his colleagues voted for it, and the administration of the County Council did not vote. So the motion was agreed. So
just clarify that for me. What is the outcome of the discussions that happened yesterday at the County Council?
That Councillor Criswell's motion was passed by the meeting. That was what happened. So that's a really important thing to say, just as a matter of fact. And I just want to say that we didn't vote for the following reasons. Fully understand the issues that Councillor Criswell has raised. And if the motion had said we recognise that there are real concerns about incineration, about air quality, public health, dioxins, green energy. Is this appropriate in the modern world? And we understand residents' concerns. There would have been no issue with that, and we would have had a unanimous vote. But the issue at hand is this. Envar have submitted a planning application to the County Council, and the responsibility to decide whether that application is agreed or not lies with the County Council's own planning committee. And it must, by law, make that decision on the basis of the evidence in front of them. In those circumstances, it is completely wrong to use full council to set a policy on an application that you're about to determine on the individual facts.
OK, so you felt that you couldn't prejudge a future planning application. Steve, just quickly, if you can, were you happy with the outcome from yesterday?
I was happy with the outcome, but the behaviour of the administration was unprecedented, quite honestly, Dottie. What Councillor Lorna Dupré made that point about conflicting with planning at the meeting yesterday, and the monitoring officer had to step in and actually say that was incorrect. I've been a councillor for 15 years. I made sure that there was no compromise. I spoke to senior planning officers and the monitoring officer to make sure the motion did not conflict with planning. So that was made very clear at the meeting.
Right. Well, can we just start with some facts? The monitoring officer did not have to step in. The monitoring officer was asked for a view. Now, I think it's a very courageous lawyer that says that Envar will not be watching what has happened here, and that if the application is refused by the planning committee, there will be no comeback from Envar. That's a very courageous statement for a lawyer to make. And frankly, it's a rather foolish position to assume that everything will be all right. What has happened here is that the potential is for an argument to be made that the council has adopted policy on a planning application that it is about to agree or disagree or determine, and that at the very best, it's reputational damage to the council, which now looks as if it doesn't trust its own planning committee to do the job in law.
OK, Lorna, we'll have to leave it there, but I think you've got your point across there. Councillor Lorna Dupré, a Lib Dem councillor, chair of the Environment and Green Investment Committee on Cambridgeshire County Council, and Councillor Steve Criswell, the district councillor for Somersham and also a county councillor. I get the feeling we will be returning to that story.
From the BBC